making an impact. And if there's one thing I'm gonna take away from what you said today, is that 10th of an acre thing you said. I live in a urban community in Dallas. I tried to get away years ago, Doc, but you changed the rules on me and created another category, so I couldn't get away. So I'm just gonna make the best of it. But I live in an urban community. Actually, there's a 9-foot wall behind my house, and there's a Walmart on the other side. But I've got 3,000 square feet just on the other side of the wall, that when I talk to farmers all over the world, where they're farming thousands and thousands of acres, I said, well, I farm 3,000 square feet. And here you talk about that 10th of an acre. Now I think I've got all the information I need to convince my wife to turn that 3,000 square feet into 4,356 square feet. To be that 10th of an acre, I can go to the farm now. But it's a pleasure. A lot of you guys probably think, oh, who's that young guy up there? Well, Dr. King, this is the 33rd year. Well, 33rd year for me. It's our 43rd annual conference, but I've been around for 33 of those 43 years. So it's a pleasure to be involved, and Ms. Irby is coming up to talk about a lot of those who were a part of that 33 years of me being around, and of all of the great things that have happened at this organization. So as Ms. Irby comes up and recognizes, I call it our giants up here.
Thank you. I hope everybody's had a good time today. What we're going to do now is the contributions of our patriots and our matriarchs who work towards the prosperity. The first one I'm going to talk about is Thomas Bond. Thomas Bond was drafted into the United States Army Air Corps during World War II, where he was one of the 18 out of 400 veterans in his squadron selected to train at, can't get the word out, Tuskegee Airman Aircraft Mechanical from 1942 to 1946. Mr. Bond was an instructor for veterans and corporate extension agent of Creighton County, Arkansas, and a horticultural specialist at the University of Arkansas in Pine Bluff. Mr. Bond used his ability to help small farmers who were in economic crisis and save their lives, their farms, and maximize their profits. While at UAPB, Mr. Bond was appointed by then Governor Bill Clinton to the Arkansas Farm Advisory Board. In the role, Mr. Bond helped shape policy decisions that affected small farmer families in the state. His agricultural service and leadership led to the establishment of the Arkansas Vegetable Grocers and Market Association, corporate, and later the Farmers Market of Pine Bluff and Little Rock. We'd like to award Mr. Thomas Bond or his family to come up and receive this award, please. Anybody from Thomas Bond family? No.
Let me just mention also, one of the his nephew, was going through Allen Pier, but
Yeah, Alvin Pier was supposed to come,
but
but an emergency.
some of the death in the family.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, sir. And Tamaria, can you come and get some pictures, please, of Calvin and Mr. Bond's family? The next person. And we're also, when we call you up, the photos that are on the floor, on the podiums, that's for your family to take back with you as well, okay?
Down. No, just stand there. With the picture. This.
Thank you. The next person we're gonna talk about is Judge Ollie Neal. Would Judge Neal stand up so everybody knows who he is? Ollie Neal, who served as the board of the ALFDC, was also served as a prosecuting attorney for the First Judicial District. 3 years later, he was elected as a circuit court judge for the First Judicial District. Governor Tucker then appointed Neal to the Arkansas Courts of Appeals in 1996, where he remained until his retirement in 2007. Judge Neal accepted the interim position as a circuit court judge for the First Judicial District in 2010. In 2003, Neal was awarded their Community Service Award by the Arkansas Judicial Council. He was also named as the trial judge by the Arkansas Trial Lawyers Association in 2010 and was inducted into the Arkansas Black Hall of Fame in 2014. Judge Neal served as a member of the Board of Directors for Arkansas Judicial Council. He also is an active with the Lee County School District, the Winthrop Rockefeller Foundation, and the National Demonstration Water Project. And next we have Ms. Agnes Hancock, who grew up on a 500-acre farm in St. Francis County, Arkansas. I had a good life. Is this supposed to be like this? Is that her quote? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, I didn't say that. But this is from her. I had a good life with my father and mother. They were ranchers who raised cows and sold cream. For our family to survive, we also raised cotton, corn, sweet potatoes, and other vegetables. We also prepared food for chilly winter days. I'll be thankful for your land is yours. It will love you back. And that's Psalms 37:11. In 1950, she became a farmer's wife that grew up with cotton, corn, peas, soybeans, and rice. She also helped with the farm work and prepared food for the family. They were blessed to have 8 children. They made sure that their children finished high school and went on to enter college, the military, or the workforce. In the early 1980s, she oversaw the 500-acre Lucas family farm, and the courts tried to sell it. That's when the Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation began its first case to help save Black farmers' land. She thanks the ALFDC for leading her to the charge to save her land and other Black farmers in Arkansas. Ms. Agnes Hancock. Everybody from this wonderful flight. And I also thank Mr. King for being so helpful and useful to me when I was in my truck. He helped me do a lot of things. Hold on. I was lost. And I didn't understand what was happening. But I kept going. I had faith that I believed that I would get through. So I called ALFDC and asked them to help me with the whole thing. And they did. And I thank Mr. King
And also I joined the organization and I've been here for 43 years. And when I heard 43 years, I still don't seem like that. But there's many years went by that we fought and tried to help everybody that got in the condition that I was in and didn't know how to get out. And I thank everybody for being so nice and wonderful. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Saint. Our next honoree is Honorable Judge Berlin Jones. He's retired. Judge Jones served as a judge for the 11th West Judicial Circuit Court in Arkansas. He initially joined the bench in 1987, retired at the conclusion of his term in 2016. Prior to his appointment, Judge Jones was an assistant city attorney for the city of Pine Bluff, earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, then completed a JD at the University of Illinois College of Law. He was admitted to the State Bar of Arkansas in 1976 and is a veteran of the United States Air Force. He is also a mentor to me as a board member for Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation. And if you want to,
What's going on?
you want to hear somebody
Not much. How you doing?
of this organization, somebody that was there from the beginning, sit down with Judge Jones and he will take you for a ride talking about how this organization came to be. So with that, Judge Jones, thank you. We appreciate you.
Okay, great. You ain't talking about Mayo.
You talking about May?
Colleen Mayo?
Maybe? I mean, what's her name? Merchant?
No. Her daughter, her
Next up, Mr. Bob Nash.
Okay.
Bob Nash served as senior economic advisor.
What's your name?
Merchant dad.
Governor Bill Clinton, president of the Arkansas Development Finance Authority, and vice president of Winthrop Rockefeller Foundation. He also served as undersecretary for rural development at the United States Department of Agriculture, where he was responsible for managing an $8 billion rural housing, business, community development, and energy distribution and production. Mr. Nash also served in the Clinton White House as assistant to the president, as director of presidential personnel. In these roles, he led efforts to recruit and place political appointees, which resulted in the most diverse government in the United States history. Mr. Bob Nash.
I just want to mention one other thing. Mr. Nash is also one of our founding board members for Arkansas Land and Farm Development.
Let me say this, thank you so much. The reason I was able to accomplish the few things that I have is because of the inspiration and passion and support I got from Calvin Key, ALFDC, and his whole team. And I want to thank them for that. And please, those of you who are not members, join this great organization. They can be very helpful to you.
I failed to mention also Judge Neal, one of the original, he's been a farmer also, they mentioned he's been a farmer. He's one of the originators and working with the organization from a legal perspective and handling cases for farmers on a pro bono basis, and served as a board member for a number of years as chairman of the board.
Next, we have Mr. Freeman McKendry. Mr. McKendry was here earlier. There he is, Mr. McKendry. So Mr. Freeman McKendry is a longtime community and economic development advocate. He is the founder of McKendry Development Institute, a consulting company that facilitates planning and development activities. He worked for 15 years with the Winthrop Rockefeller Foundation. He served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Pakistan, where he taught science to pre-medical students. He also worked in Africa, Asia, and more than 15 states in the United States. In 2011, he was honored by the Citizens First Congress with the 2011 E.J. Miller Lifetime Achievement Award. Mr. Freeman McKendry. Next, we have Reverend W.C. Timms. Magnolia, Arkansas, was born in 1924 in Houma, Louisiana, and attended and graduated from the public schools there. After serving in the U.S. Navy from 1942 to 1946 during World War II, Mr. Timms worked numerous jobs, including the New York Central Railroad in Cleveland, Ohio, and in Buffalo, New York area. Reverend Timms was called to preach in February 1949 and started college at Bishop College in Marshall, Texas in June of 1949. He earned a bachelor's arts degree in religion and history and minored in social science and psychology. Reverend Timms worked to receive his master's in education from the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. He attended evening classes at Southern State College and went to Fayetteville during the summer. His graduation from college in 1952 coincided with his wife's maternity leave from teaching at Southside School in McNeil. He substituted for her before accepting the teaching job there. Dr. Reverend Timms was later promoted to principal of the schools in 1954, a position he held until 1969, when he was terminated for refusing to fire the African-American teachers before consolidating. Reverend Timms served as pastor of Cedar Grove Baptist Church for 16 years. After serving several other congregations, he later pastored the New Zion Missionary Baptist Church of Magnolia and the St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church of Taylor for 42 and 43 years respectively. He retired from pastoring in 2007. Reverend Timms has had numerous accomplishments and received numerous awards, including being named by President Bill Clinton as an unsung hero. He is the oldest active member of the Columbia District Baptist Association and is still continually active in his community. Reverend W.C. Timms.
I was mentioning, Dr. Carr is accepting for Reverend Timms. He's been a little under the weather. He is now 100 years old, and he would say that in a minute, you know, his age, how old he is, and a lot more to go with it, because he has a lot of experience on both on the organization, African American land laws, and just African American history in general. He's a very serious historian. And he served as the chairman of the board for Arkansas Land Fund Development Corporation as well as a board member. And we're very thankful for him and his continued support. He made a major contribution as well. I mentioned this roughly about 3 years ago. He made what I call a lifetime contribution, and I won't disclose how much of what it was, but he did to the organization. We're very thankful for that. His family members along, Reverend Timms.
Okay, this next award is presented to, we're not going to say her name yet, I'm just going to say a little bit about her. She was very active along with her husband in Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation over the years. When I became a board member, she was involved, and then her husband told me, you need to get more involved. So over the years, I've had a lot of conversations with Miss Evelyn Bryant, and I'll tell you this about Miss Bryant. She has always been a person that cares about other people. I was very fortunate to become or to be invited to participate in the very first youth program here at Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation. And being from small town Helen, Arkansas, I've never really been anywhere, so I didn't know where Allport and Humboldt and those places were. But the Bryant family served as mentor farmers for youth in this program over the years. And it has been very much a pleasure to work with Ms. Evelyn Bryant. So Ms. Bryant, we're gonna present to you the Matriarch Award for your dedication, contribution, and support of Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation and Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation at our 43rd annual conference titled Prosperity but Disparity. Thank you.
Okay, next, we're going to present more awards to some pretty special people today that made this conference a little bit more special, okay? Just on a personal level, this guy, I've known him for years. We kind of get each other because we've been in the news world. Not around the same time, but he was there before I was. And of course, you guys know he's an Emmy Award-winning journalist. That's major. But this guy, I had the opportunity to work on that documentary or that preview to the documentary that you guys saw earlier. And I want to say you did a fantastic job. So thank you again for working with this. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Again, the Emmy Award-winning photographer and journalist who hosted the only film festival in Arkansas with African-American lives as a focal point, the Jubilee Film Festival. Marcus Eubanks is a versatile professional in the broadcast media world, video streaming, and photography fields. He performed as a reporter and videographer for multiple local news outlets. After mastering the job requirements for those positions, he switched gears within the field and started to make an impact with his eyes for photography. As of September of 2018, Marcus reached the pinnacle of this field and was awarded an Emmy for the documentary style story on the Elaine Massacre, which occurred during the summer of 1919, also known as the Red Summer. He is also the owner of the video streaming channel Resurgent TV, which is geared towards providing space for creatives to have their work seen all over the world. If you would accept this award from us, Mr. Eubanks, thank you again so much for the work that you did.
All right, next we wanna honor our scheduled speaker for today. So Mr. Tillman, I'm gonna have you take this back to Mr. Walker and tell him, hey, even though he wasn't here physically, he sent enough words that we can use to carry on and continue to do the work that you talked about and those conversations you had with him leading up to this conference. I think he definitely gave you some things to leave with us that is gonna stick with us and cause us to do more. So this is presented to Mr. Kenneth Walker in recognition of invaluable service rendered to Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation, Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation at our 43rd annual conference. Would you accept it from behalf of the time?
Thank you. We have one last award that we want to give. He's not here today, but I think Dr. King is going to accept it for him. He's been with the ALFDC for a long time. James Davis, which we call him JD, has worked with ALFDC for over 21 years. He retired from aerospace, where he developed software for various companies such as RCA, Systems Development Corporation, TRW, and North America Aviation Inc. His enterprise includes outreach training and technical assistance to socially disadvantaged farming organizations, where he developed a training manual and facilitated good agriculture practices, good handling practices, which is the GHP program, training for small Black farmers in Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. Over the years, JD has served as a facilitator for several organizations that included the Christian Foundation, Light of World International Church, Sarasota, Florida, co-facilitator for Black Farmers, Cypress Conference, Atlanta, Georgia, and Lane Chapel Church, strategic planning using SWOT analysis. In addition to facilitating meetings between USDA, Rural Development Department, Arkansas Department of Finance Authority in Little Rock, and West Memphis City Planner and Building Contractor in West Memphis, JD manages and operates his own family farm that produces soybeans, wheat, small grains, sorghum, and which is within a 1,300-acre land. JD cannot be here today because he's ill, so Calvin King, Dr. King, is going to accept this award, so thank him.
Let me just say this, I know some of the individuals, it was very noticeable, with JD not being in today, in particular, Mr. Tillman, Mike Sullivan, so he knows who's supposed to be there in the organization, and I appreciate that, Mike, because he knows something missing. If it's missing or out of order, that means that your partner, they're giving you that attention that needs to be given, and you're giving attention to you that way, you're gonna give attention and support to you in other ways too as well. But he is unable to be here today, unfortunately, but not only are we recognizing him as a patriot for the organization, but as a patriot staff person as well. So he is a staff person, vice president for planning and reporting with the organization, accountability with the organization. He's been with us for over 20 plus odd years now. They said he's not farming 1,300 acres of land now. He has what I call a super hoop house. He has a super hoop house. I think he has, Mr. Tillman and Mr. Sullivan, I think the largest hoop house in Arkansas. The largest hoop house in Arkansas. So I'm definitely going to tell him about the new program, because he's got the appropriate acreage all on the roof with that hoop house. Okay, so I'm gonna tell him about the CSP program, a minimum of $4,000 payment on that. So he's ahead of the game on that. So thank you very much, and we will get this short.
Okay, we're at the end of our program, so we're gonna have Dr. King follow up with some remarks.
Well, first of all, let me express my appreciation for all of you who come out and participate in your part of this event. My apologies for those who may have gone to Fargo and waited and got disgusted and left because nobody was there. The chairman of the board called me this morning, and man, was I in trouble. He called me to let me know that folks have been down to Fargo and didn't get the information about the fact that we had changed the location of the meeting. And then another board member, Mr. Bertha Thomas, went down there, and some who got there, he did bring those back. So, when we say accessibility, having the right information, or you may have gotten information, but didn't quite filter it all, so you end up, it didn't get filtered right. Now, we had it out there. We had a radio broadcast, we had it in our newsletter, we radio broadcast extensively, more than we normally do. But sometimes, again, you have to filter the information. And I'm gonna use again what I said my dad would use on us sometimes. You got sight, you can't see, but you can hear, but you can listen. So filtering information, all justification as to why sometimes we have to do outreach over and over, justification of that people, outreach over and over again. Because sometimes it takes a little more time, because things have been a certain way. But the site for so long. It's been a certain way, you understand, Dr. Carr? Mr. Tillman, been a certain way for so long. That people, although you say we want to create equity and access, it's been so a certain way for so long, it takes a little bit more. A little bit more of that outreach, a little bit more of that communication, a little bit more of those models, a little bit more on policy that's most fitting, based on the situation to allow and to create that equity opportunity. So I just want y'all to hear that, take it back to Washington. I want to tell folks that, so that means Arkansas does need some more money. Put the picture up that night too. You know, the filtering process, a little bit more of the filtering process, get the message in, more outreach, more special projects. Again, thank all of our program participants, those on program, those who participated, workshops, resource presenters, and all those that's played such a key role as being a part of our agenda. And most of all, I want to again express my appreciation to all of those that we have recognized here today. And my appreciation for both what you are to the organization now and what you have been and continue to be in your support. Those words from Ms. Hancock tell you meant so much. So for people to give you credit for what you do and what you've done, and as the song says, still here and tell the story. So many haven't told the story, or may be reluctant to tell the story, and it may be for certain reasons. Mr. Tillman, because sometimes I've said, and Ms. Hancock, no, 43 years plus, some have said that, you know, the organization is good, trying to do some good things. That Kevin King can be a very radical person. He can be radical. Somebody said, ooh, they say, yeah, you're so right. He can be radical in some very, too aggressive in so many ways, so that he may have done something we ain't gonna talk about it. We ain't gonna talk about it. But back in the day, I'm the first in the 80s coming out of civil rights, you know what I'm talking about. You know? He said, outspoken, his book. But see, he was my mentor, and he was very active. He was a very active person in the civil rights movement. So he said, I was reading the book. He even got me in the book, so he can't say he wasn't my mentor because he didn't reference me in the book. So it was my mentor, was outspoken. But to hear those words in a very specific manner and how it occurred and what occurred, and the injustice that took place, that's not the only case. It's not the only case we dealt with. But it's because of that work, and you don't do it by yourself. It took family support. That's a large family, am I right? You got the Hancock, you got the Lucas, am I right? So it's very diverse, right? Y'all know the challenges were. We understand. So, but it's been cases like that and people like that that has been the foundation and the teachers that has taught me so much in this organization so much. And what we stand by and what we do, it is not based on philosophy, it is based on experience and what we've learned. As also says that the real thing is the real thing from experience, in no uncertain terms. My other closing points, I want all the staff, would you please stand? And I know people give reference to, and they say, well, Calvin King, Dr. King. I would love to take credit, on this. I was telling Mike, Mr. Tim, I told him, he said, oh, really? I probably should have told him what I told him, but I did. He said, he's oh, everything is so great and so organized. I said, well, thank you. You know, so much. And he said, this is different venue and all. So, well, there may be some things you get past, or went to the wrong place. Take time, you know, that whole this change takes time. Like, you know, this new what y'all got, this change, it's gonna take time, but we're gonna get there. I said, so I said, thank you very much, Dr. Wayne. So Mike, let me be honest. This is my first time being here too. That's not my yesterday, but my first day here also as well. And so I say that for the people who are standing, the staff people, we have some great staff people. Ms. Miller, who's our Vice President, Chief Financial Operations Officer, Ms. Irving. We have Tanisha Dose, Janie, we have Ashley, Ms. Ashley, you all see her on stage, Ms. Ashley Crockett, Albert Jones, the IT person here, Mike, Michael Tucker, who keeps things moving for us on having everything going out. I mentioned Albert, and if I missed somebody, I hope I didn't miss him. You know, Mr. Well, I'm gonna get to the board number, Miss Harrell, what? Man, if I miss Miss Harrell, y'all just told her she was something, you know, but you know something wrong. Miss Mary Harris, she's our senior staff person that's been with us here. Miss Jamie Williams, Mr. Larry Houghton, who's back there at the back. Miss I'm in trouble with Diamond. I shouldn't have started calling these names. I should just did. I should have said thanks to Miss Love in handling everything with all the staff not being out. But I just got back last night. I'm just telling our board chairman this show. You know, he called me this morning. I don't want to say I'm not at the site yet. But we have Mr. Tamara, we have Miss Tashiana, we have India, and all of just everybody raise your hand, please. Y'all know I'm gonna be in trouble trying to call these names out. Everybody got their hands in the air. My sincere appreciation to the staff and the support, and all the board members, all our board members and presidents stand under Judge Jones, Mr. Locke. Our board members set the pace. Mr. Williams, Ms. Williams Senior, Ms. Brown, Ms. Brown, she's here with us, but these are individuals. And when I say set the pace, the organization operates based on a plan of operation that's passed by the board of directors and structure. And that's how we go. This is the key foundation. Southern Board Chairman got me straight. I forgot, he had been around this organization 33 years, Mr. Nash, 33 years. He's been linked to this organization. Now, he's still very young. I'll say he's young, but he started with us as a youth. Mr. Corey Farmer. Corey, he's still in? Yeah, okay, yeah, he's also a board member. He has equal seniority on Brian. He's the vice chairman of the board. And he's been around us 33 years also. So that combination of full experience with the organization from the youth perspective, well, you can tell that when you don't speak. You know, you can tell me. He's almost as good as I am. I'm joking. He's actually better than I am. But again, our appreciation to everyone immediately following. There is a workshop 3. And I want to say this. This is dealing with the application process for financial assistance for discrimination. Okay. We had one of the first meetings, large meetings in Fargo regarding this application process. We've had all kinds of calls. Let me be clear on one thing. We supported 100% in working with our membership and all the local individuals and those who are seeking to get assistance. Everyone. This application process is for African Americans, Native Americans, Spanish, any minority, and women, all women across the board. That's what's out, that's on the eligibility side. They'll talk more about that in the meeting. We'll have 100 calls coming in, and there seems to have been some confusion, thinking that we have a direct responsibility for doing things from a coordination and administrative process and doing the applications. Let me be clear. We do not have a grant agreement or a contract agreement to do the work on that application process. We do it because a part of the support that we have from our other partner organizations, specifically USDA, Natural Resource Conservation Services, and other investment supporting partners, has been to make sure that people have access to and an understanding of the availability of resources. So we see this as a resource area, and the information we provide is in that manner. Access to a possible resource that is to serve to address or to be partial corrective actions for those things that were done incorrectly or wrong that represented discrimination. Again, those things that may have been done incorrectly or wrong that is classified under discrimination. This is not something new for USDA. This has been recognized by USDA, it was recognized on the Bill Clinton Civil Rights Action Team report, we're familiar with that. The Jackson Lewis report, we're familiar with that, and we've gone through those reports. So we do understand. USDA understands. So it's not an unknown. I mean, there's an understanding. But I do want to make sure, so if y'all call Mike and file a complaint on me, that we're not making out the application or doing the application, I want Mike to be the student. Everybody else. Folks get, like I said, I really appreciate Ms. Hancock giving credit for what you did. But folks will give you credit for what they think you didn't do or not doing real quick. You'll quickly get that. So I just wanted to make that announcement, make it very clear. We are giving the information. We do referrals. You'll learn more about that referral process and who to refer to. I was out of town trying to get through this meeting. I wouldn't even call any of my staff people to let them know what the complaint was. Because I knew they were wrong, because I got. They said, there's not an address of where to send your application to. One of the people said, I'm sure that, I said, well, I'm sure that there's an address where to send your application to when you complete it. They said, no, it's not on there. I said, yes, it is. They said, no, it's not. I said, well, I don't have the application with me, so I can't give you the address. They said, well, I said, just look at the application again. Again, it's a matter of that filtering that information out. So then another one called, I said, well, let me just say this first. There are some addresses on where you can send it to. Because see, technically, when you get filtered, you probably have to understand from the first conversation until you have a second conversation. And filtering the information, what were you just told that there is no address? I guess what they were saying is that I don't know which address to send it to. So it could have been me. But I was gonna say, they don't know what they're talking about. And that's what that really is what I said. I said, they don't know what they're talking about. And then when I thought about what the meeting was about and what they had said, Secretary Bill said, and explaining the structure, and then what we had read, I said, oh yeah, okay, I get it. They don't know which address and which one of those district or office areas they're supposed to mail it to. They think that you mail it to the Arkansas office, there's not an address there, like you should mail it to the Oklahoma office. People communication is something else. Communication, making sure you have the right information, and making sure you understand the information that's coming to you. So that was just a total miscommunication on my part, and I thought I knew what I was talking about. And they knew what they were talking about. They knew more what they were talking about It's just that I didn't understand what they were talking about based on how it's communicated to me. So people, we know we have a lot of work to do, and we're still working hard to try to deliver accordingly. And again, we appreciate you, and that session is gonna be held in, Dr. Dokes in here? Oh, okay, it's gonna be held in the back room back here, it's where that. No, in the board meeting, I know it's that room. Yeah, it's this room. The board meeting is gonna be, and we have the following board meeting, membership meeting is gonna be in the smaller room. The discussion regarding the application process is gonna be in this room right behind us, so they're gonna pull the door area, so it's just walk right over there for that. And our staff will be conducting that session. That's on the application for discrimination and financial system program. That work session will convene right behind us. And again, membership meeting will be in the other room right outside the door here is where the membership meeting will be, and the board meeting will be held. I think I have it already done, right? Okay, all right. Was that right? Okay. I get it right. Oh, is this stuff? We got it? Yeah. Okay, all right. Look, I like to depend on one person to be mad if we get it wrong, not everybody. Okay. Dr. Cornelius is going to close out again. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Dr. King, for those remarks. And again, we want to thank everyone who attended. And as Dr. King mentioned, earlier, we talked about that membership organization. I think Mr. Nash also reinforced the importance of membership. We will leave this session and go into our annual membership meeting. So if you want to hear the updates about the organization, the finances and the programs, that will be in the membership meeting. There are some board positions that will be elected in the membership meeting based on the region that you live in. So please join us for the membership meeting. Before we close out, just look around the room. I know it's different. It's not the old gymnasium, which prior to that was a horse barn in Fargo. We cleaned it up pretty good, did some nice things to it. But we want to thank all of the volunteers. I think there were some volunteers from the Brinkley School District, as well as some other adult volunteers from the Brinkley area that came and helped serve the food, as well as help organize the room. We want to thank everyone who volunteered, and we want your feedback. So if you will remember, there's a little card inside of your program or the agenda, and there are probably some on the tables. This is to help us understand what we can do better and how we did. That's how we, if you want to say change course midstream, is we take your comments very seriously. And I know Dr. King, he's been in this a long time, and it seems like sometimes you get more criticism than comments. But I think Dr. King is pretty well suited to take in all of the comments, negative, positive, or neutral, and help the staff adjust accordingly. And we would love to do that as well. So if you would please leave your comments on those cards as well. So with that, again, we're going to close out this luncheon session. I know we went a little long, but we wanted to make sure we recognize all of our historical leaders. And we will proceed into our membership meeting that's held. It's out in the hallway in the boardroom, or for those of you who are going to attend the third workshop, that's going to be directly behind us for that. So with that, thank you all for coming, and we really appreciate your attendance, and safe travels to those who are leaving.
I want to mention that in case y'all forgot, the pictures here go with each one of the honorees. So the pictures and the stand, those are you all's pictures as part of the recognition. The pictures go within the minute.